Alright guys, welcome into the house. As you can tell, I have a little bit of a cough, so please excuse that for this video. Also, sound quality, all that, not going to be the best. Let's just get the bad news out of the way real quick. My computer is more or less dead. I'm having it repaired, and it's going to take possibly a couple weeks, depending on if I have to buy a new one or not. I'm gonna try to not spend, $2,000 or whatever to replace my laptop, because I don't have that kind of money right now. But anyways, what we're gonna do today, I actually started this series. I filmed this. I wanted to start a vlog series where I just, we stop with all the strategies and all that. Well, I take that. I'm not going to stop with the strategies, but even I get a little overwhelmed sometimes by strategies. Again, guys, there is no strategy out there that can beat this game. Sometimes I even get overwhelmed with, oh my, I think I hit gold. I just developed a strategy that's just, it's perfect. It wins, 90% of the time, and then you play it long enough and you're like, oh, no, it doesn't. That was just the one time, and you get over it and you move on. So what I'm going to do today, I'm just going to throw the dice around, play some craps, but I want to talk to you guys about craps. So this is going to be episode 1 of my vlog series. Not exactly how I intended to release this series. I know I got a lot of series and stuff that are currently in the works right now, and it really kind of irritates me, especially if I just lost a bunch of my my data. That's gonna really bum me out, because there's some things that I can't film it again because it already happened, and for the sake of consistency and stuff, like I can't just do it again. Like I'm mainly talking about the bankroll series, because I was already in like my 6th episode. Obviously it hasn't even been 6 weeks. I've been filming it for a little while now, but I think I was in like my 6th episode. Again, if you saw my video last night, you saw I actually was still up on my bankroll series, but it is what it is. So let's get on to this video, shall we? And that was a 7 out, a 0.7 out. That's just about how everything is going right now. So anyways, tonight I want to talk to you guys about craps and why it is important to know what type of player you are. Now, some of you are probably thinking, well, there's 3 typical types of players. There's pressing players, there's regressing players, and then there's same bet players. Yes, that is true. That is the typical 3 types of players, or at least what used to be, what I'm saying used to be the 3. I'm going to kind of come out with my own version of how to classify players. Because again, everyone knows about press, regress, same bet. They all pretty much know all the characteristics of those players. But I want to introduce something new. That's a 10. That's a easy 10, big 10 on the end. So in today's video, and what I think is more encompassing of an actual, it gets more into the mentality of the player rather than just what he does or what she does on the table. Like a press player, what that is, the betting strategy that they use. That's the betting system that they use. That isn't really, I wouldn't call a player a press player. But anyways, we're going to get into it. So there is basically 3, depending on how I want to classify it, 3 or 4 different types of players. We're going to get into them right now. the first and foremost, and this is what pretty much every player has either started out as, or every player has played this way, some way or another, and that's the grinder. Everyone, we all love a good grinding strategy, so how I'm going to classify these, or how I'm going to kind of break down these types of players, I'm going to tell you about the bankroll that is needed for these types of players. I'm going to talk about the volatility of these types of players. I'm also going to talk about the comp expectation of that type of player. And then lastly, I want to talk about time at the table. So for the grinder, it's no surprise that the grinder, let's just start out with the easy one. Time at the table. That is the whole purpose of this person, is he just or she just wants to play and get on the table, be in the casino. That's all he's looking for, is just to grind and grind and grind. Like, I was going to make a Super Bowl joke, but, so yeah, the grind player, he or she is just looking to spend a lot of time on the table and, get drinks, just be, in the party atmosphere, enjoy their night. Whether that be, a same bet player is kind of a typical grind type of person, but that's not the only thing. A grinder, maybe they're just flat betting the pass line, or maybe they're just putting $10 on the don't. They're just playing $10. They don't press, they don't regress. They just play $10, flat bet it, and they got like $200, $300, and they're just trying to spend some time at the table. They, if you're just going to play one of the lines, you're going to spend a lot of time in the casino before you either get a lot to win or whether you lose a lot. It's going to take a long time to do that. So that's my first player. So bankroll of a grinder, typically lower. This guy or gal, he or she, they might come in with couple $100. However, that's not, a person that's on a high limit table can still be a grinder. You can be a high limit grinding player. You go onto a, $100, $25 table and you just play table minimum the whole night. You're still a grinder. You're just the volatility has gone up a little bit because you're playing bigger bets, but the type of player you are is still a grinder. All right, so time at the table, pretty good. Bankroll, relatively small, at least relatively small compared to the other players. That was a 7 out, by the way. So next would be volatility. Volatility is pretty much as middle of the road as it gets. This type of player is more or less, it's just very middle of the road. He's not winning a lot, not losing a lot. Again, the whole point is to not win or lose a lot. It's just to stay on the table, hoping to maybe eventually you get on a huge 2-hour long roll. You might win, you might double your money or something like that. Now, comps. Comps are going to be all right. And the one reason that I say that the comps are going to be all right for this type of person is consistency. I've found, and again, I don't work in the casino industry, I've just found in my experience that the dealers, the casino, they love consistency. They want to know, hey, we can count on this guy. He will be on our table at this time. He will be playing this much money. And I forgot to get my money on the table. But it's okay. That was snake eyes. They love consistency. And that is the MO of a grinder, is consistency. He's just, again, he's looking to grind out $100 a session, and he'll see you tomorrow, or something like that. Now I think you guys get the point by now. So let's just review it real quick. Comp value for a grind player is going to be decent. It's going to be better than some of the other players that I'm going to mention here shortly. Win expectation or volatility is going to be pretty middle of the road. It's not going to be that high because he's basically just playing the exact same bet. He's going to win some, he's going to lose some. You know, the volatility isn't going to be that high. Now, of course, as the bets increase, the volatility goes up. But the betting strategy, just the player himself, his volatility, it's going to remain the same throughout, you know, his life, basically. He's going to be able to spend a lot of time on the table, and he's not going to have many sessions where, like, oh man, guys, I lost my whole bankroll. I lost it all. But then, you know, the next day he comes back and, oh man, I doubled. You know, he's the guy that, you know, he might win $50, he might lose $50, something like that, or, you know, take that on a order of magnitude wherever. But he's just kind of happy with just being on the table, so to speak, just to play the game. That's the whole purpose of this type of player. They're not there to, you know, win a new car or anything like that. They're just here to enjoy the game that we all love. So again, 7 out. All right, so that's the grinder. The next player is pretty much the exact opposite. That's the go big, go home player. The go big, go home player. Now, typically this would be, you probably initially are going to think of, oh, well, this person is a press type of player. This person is like a power press or, you know, something like that. Not necessarily. That's why I'm giving it all different categories. I would consider you a go big, go home player if you just walk up to the table, you put your whole bankroll on the field like that. You're looking to just figure out, hey, am I a winner? Am I a loser today? Or better yet, I know one of you. You know who you are. You're gonna go to the casino. Maybe you step up to the bubble craps machine or something, and you just put, you know, $500 on the don't or something. You know, I think everyone knows who I'm talking about. But you know, if you just step up and you put a ton of money on one bet, you put a ton of money. You put, you know, you bought in with 200. You put $50 in prop bets per roll. You want to do 4 rolls and you're done. You want to see, am I winning big? Am I losing big? Which one am I doing? So while a press type of player is the kind of typical cookie cutter person that would be considered a go big, go home person, that's not the only way. I think I owe myself $5 because I made change and I didn't give it to me. Anyway, so that is a go big, go home player. Now, again, let's go through the criteria. Comps, pretty good. Pretty good. However, it has to be consistent. So you can't, you know, just once a year, you can't go to Vegas and just put $1,000 on the field, expect to get a bunch of comps from that. No, it don't work like that. You need consistency. You need to be going to the casino regularly and doing something like that. Or, this is more where it applies to the go big, go home player. If you're a power presser, you know, you come into the casino with $100, you go big, you try to press it all the way up to table max or whatever. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But you do that, you know, once a month, once a week, something like that. Again, consistency is the name of the game when it comes to comps. It don't matter what type of player you are, really. It matters how consistent you are in how you play. That's what they want to know they can count on you to pay their bills. That's basically what it comes down to. So, comp value should be pretty high, but that's also because typically these players are winning and, more importantly, losing really big. All right, comp value. Time at the table. Well, you can probably guess time at the table is almost minimal to non-existent. These are the type of people that, you know, they might only be there for one roll, or they might only be there for, you know, 5, 10, 15 minutes, something like that. They're going big or going home. Typically, they go home before before anything else happens, really. But that's not to discourage you from it, because, again, this is where the volatility comes into play. The wins can be huge. The losses can be huge. For instance, take my Monday night craps, where Miss House Money, she put all the money on the field. She won. She is now the leader of Monday night craps because, she went big. She threw it all out there, see what happened, and it hit. She went big, and she didn't go home empty-handed. So that's that type of player. So bankroll is actually typically pretty small. Again, it can vary depending on what type of limit you're playing. If you're a low limit player, if you're a high limit player, but typically it's relatively smaller. They're not trying to grind everything out. But at that same time, it could widely vary. The guy could buy in for $1,000 and put it all on the field. It will vary. But I would typically say they have a lower bankroll than they should. At least that's how I'll classify it is. They should have a much larger bankroll for the bets that they are placing. Okay, so bankroll, comps, time at the table, expected wins or losses or volatility. All right, I think that is everything for the go big, go home. All right, so we got the grinder, we got the go big, go home. The next person, or the next player, to kind of wrap this up, looks like we're about 15 minutes in. The next player I want to talk about is the hedge player. The hedge player is, let me get a roll here real quick and let's set a point. Looks like it's going to be 6 easy. The hedge player, and you all probably know a hedge strategy. I think I've even put out strategies that are hedge types of strategies. We'll just give you an example of the most common kind of hedge strategy would be the iron cross. This is the type of player that different degrees of hedging, but basically all it means is that this player is willing to lose a little bit to ensure a win somewhere else. Basically, so the iron cross, you play the field and you play the 5, 6, and 8 place bets. Every single roll, bar a big red, you will win money. On some rolls, you'll win a little more. On some rolls, you'll win a little less, because if you hit the non-field numbers, you lose the field, you win these, you win a little bit. Basically, all it means is that per roll, or whichever bets are hedged, you cannot win both bets. So you will lose money no matter what. You just can't win all the money that you put out there. That is what a hedge bettor is. Now, there are varying degrees of hedge bettors. Like I said, the iron cross, that's not a terrible strategy. It's a very, very popular strategy. Lots of people play it. I've seen it many, many times in the casino. So, as a hedge bettor, you could kind of consider it a grinder type of player, but it's a totally different kind of mentality than a grinder. A grinder is just, they're betting lower and they're happy with their little wins and their little losses. Again, the grinder type player is just wanting to spend as much time as possible and, let's be honest, get as much drinks as possible. Whereas the hedge bettor, normally this only lasts as long as they still have their money on the table. Once they get their money out, once they have their initial investment off the table, then they turn into maybe a go big, go home player, or maybe they just turn into, they get the hole across and they do the grinding strategy of just they want every hit. Once they get up a little more money, then they might start to go big. But like I said, a hedge bettor is, they're wanting to exchange a little loss for a little bit bigger of a win. So, time at the table. Typically pretty long. They are kind of a variation on a grinder. But again, it is a totally different type of person. It's a totally different way of betting. So time of the table, typically pretty long. However, because I've been this type of person as well, when you got to understand that hedge systems, they always have a downfall. They always have a downfall. What a hedge bettor does is he or she is like, okay, look, the only way I can lose is X. Well, guess what, guys? If X shows up repeatedly, you're losing all your money like that. So that's what they don't consider when they normally bring their bankroll to the casino, is they're like, hey, look, I don't need that much money. It's very low chance that I'm going to lose all of it. All I need is this much to play my system, and I'm going to win, $5-10 on every roll, something like that. So that gets into the bankroll aspect. Typically the bankroll is a little lower than it probably should be, but I'd say it's still higher than a grind type of player. Comp value, oh man. Comp value, this is where it depends on how much you are hedging. But guys, here's the thing. Casinos know what you're doing. You're not showing them anything they haven't seen before. And they see what you're doing. They know what you're doing. And they're not buying it. And what I mean by that is, they'll let you play your action. They'll take your action. But they're not giving you squat. Because here's the thing, again, about hedge players. In some instances, you're really, you think, oh man, I got $300 on the table. I should be getting a lot of comps from that. And then in reality, the at-risk money is like $10 or $30 or whatever. So typically the dealers or the pit boss or whoever is ranking you for your comp value, they know how to play the game, or if they don't know, now they know. I'm sorry, I just had to say that. They know at least what a hedge person is, and you won't see the comps. You really won't. At least, if you find a good casino that they know you, and again, it's all about consistency. That is what it boils down to. When it comes to comps, it's about consistency. But the hedge player is just not getting the same amount of comps as, let's say it's the same amount of money that one other person's playing, but he's a go big, go home player, or he's even a grinder. They are probably going to get more comps than the person that just hedges every bet he plays or she plays. Again, to get comp value, you need consistency, and you need to pick a direction. You need to just, okay, I'm doing this. I'm betting that this is going to win. Not I'm betting that anything but, roulette is a good example where people hedge their bets. In roulette, people might lay out almost every number except for just a couple numbers, so that, oh yeah, no matter what, I'm gonna win $1 or $10 or whatever. The casinos see that and they're like, okay, let's be honest. Per roll or per hand, whatever you're playing that, if you can hedge it, they know that you don't have as much money at risk as it looks. So they see that and they're like, yeah, he's not getting any comps. Okay, so comp value, minimal to 0. Time of the table, typically longer, but if that one bad thing happens, it can be really, really small. Your time at the table could be just as bad as a go big, go home player. Trust me, I was one of those players for a little while until I realized, man, I'm not seeing the comps, and I'm also not seeing the wins, and yeah, it was not going well. So time of the table, comp value, expected wins. Again, I have yet to really love a hedge strategy, and it's mainly because of the volatility of them. they're way too volatile for the expected win that I would, you know, for me to, with a hedge strategy, with a lot of these hedge strategies, to win $100, it's like you got to bring 300, 400 just to win that you know, 1/3 of your bankroll. So the bankrolls they're typically not that large, like I said earlier, because the players, they don't consider the worst case scenarios, which they should. But the volatility it's a little higher than just like a grind player, because sometimes, you know, that off chance that, you know, maybe you just got really bad luck, and you know, you're playing roulette and you got every number covered except for 4, and those 4 numbers just keep rolling and rolling and rolling, while you invested, like, you know, $32 or whatever that would be. You invested 30, 34. Anyway, you know, you invested all that money, and then the worst case scenario that you didn't think was actually going to happen, it happened. You lost all that money. You didn't get anything on your return, and now your bankroll is severely diminished because you didn't take that into account. All right, bankroll, again, typically smaller than it should be, but it can work with smaller bankrolls. Again, any strategy, any way to play, it can work. So time at the table, like I mentioned, can vary widely. If the worst case scenario happens, it can be almost none. Comps, basically none or to minimal. And then expected return or expected value, the volatility is, I feel like it's a lot higher than they realize. So, all right, that is my 3 types of craps players. To end it, I want to say there is the extreme examples of all of these, and the one that I really want to talk about is the extreme hedge better. This is the person that, like, a do-we-don't player, a person that plays the do-we-don't, and then they like lay odds, or they take odds or whatever, or especially the person that plays the don't and then lays the pass or the place bet. That's an extreme hedge better, and you will get absolutely 0 in comps. That is the extreme version of a hedge. I do not approve of that system. It's a way, because again, every system has a flaw. And with every system, that flaw is typically a little bit overlooked by, if you play it, you typically don't think of the cons of it. You might know it, but you just, you know, that's why you play it. You're like, well, I know that that's the downfall, but I'm still going to play it anyways because I don't think that's going to happen. Except it happens, and you lose all your money. You get nothing back in return. Like I said, comp value is absolutely 0, because here's the thing with that type of play. Let's say you're playing $50 on the don't. Once it moves, you place the number for 50 or like 60 or whatever like that. And I've seen this so many times with my Monday night craps. A lot of people play this way. And first off, it's a shit ton of work for the dealers to keep doing all this, where they're literally on, like, you know, you win $5-10 or whatever, $20 when you finally win, or you do all this work and then it sevens out and you don't win anything. So it's a ton of work for the dealers. I feel like dealers probably don't like it. I don't know that, but I feel like they don't like it, especially if you're not tipping, which you don't have money to tip in that system. Your wins aren't enough where you can tip. I've played it out. I've tried it in a casino. I've tried those variations, and I'm not a fan of them. But anyways, I guess that'll do it for this video, guys. Let me know if you like the vlog style of videos. I mean, whether you like it or not, I think you're kind of stuck with it, because this is all I got for the next few weeks. So If you don't like it, then maybe I just won't put out videos for a little while. I don't know. But anyways, you guys know the drill. I appreciate you coming here and hanging out in the house with me. I'll see you guys in the next one. But before you go, remember you're always welcome back here in the house anytime.